Good morning, everybody. So we are sticking with the same theme this week. We're still sticking with staff mental health and well-being, and something that I wanted to share and talk to you about today is the importance of making sure that your staff support systems are accessible both internally and externally. So a little bit of a common thread that appears to be happening at the moment is schools either have an abundance of one or the other, but very often don't have both. So it's really important that you have systems in place that staff can access from an internal perspective, but that they can also access externally, like things like your employee assistance programs and things like that. In doing so, what you're ensuring is that your support system that you have in place for your staff is one that's inclusive. So it's inclusive to everybody's needs, because there will be a mixture of feelings around school. Some staff will prefer to access those internal systems and just speak to somebody that's in school that they know, or access the school counsellor that's on site that they know, that type of thing. But others will prefer to access support from a completely external perspective that's nothing to do with the school, where they may feel a little bit freer to talk and open and engage in support systems from an external perspective. So it's really, really important that you have access to both and not just one or the other. Something else that's a little bit of a misconception, if you like, is this concept around supervision. Now, what we recommend is that there is clinical supervision in place within schools, particularly for those key members of staff who are working much more closely with the vulnerable children and young people that are in your school. So that tends to be people like your senior mental health lead, or your SENCO, or your safeguarding lead. Those kind of roles where you're working with much more vulnerable children and young people is where we would be recommending that there is that clinical supervision in place. Now, a lot of the time what I hear is, yes, we have supervision in place. We have supervision in place monthly, and it's with the head teacher and the department lead or something like that. Supervision and clinical supervision are two very, very different things. So supervision in schools comes very much from a performance-based perspective, and it's generally something that's run between colleagues within that school setting. Whether that's from an SLT member to somebody else, or whether it's your department leads or your head teacher or whatever, it tends to be something that happens as an internal system within the school that's very performance driven and related to the roles of that person. Clinical supervision, it doesn't come from that same perspective. So clinical supervision is not only with a qualified clinical psychologist, but it is also from that more of a, well-being, your mental health. So it's not anything to do with the performance of the job that you are doing. So there is a massive difference between the two, and it's important that clinical supervision is something that is considered to be in place to support those key members of staff in your school. Take the time to pause on that again this week. I know I say that a lot, but sometimes we really do need to just take some of these concepts on board and give it food for thought, really. Reflect upon your practices that you have in place for your staff support systems in school, and really see, right, okay, where are we and where can we move to moving forwards. So sometimes doing a little bit of an audit of what's currently happening and what's in place, and then figuring out where we're going to shift to is usually a really good plan to kind of start this ball rolling and thinking about what's in place and what we need to have in place. I hope that your first week back has been as smooth as it possibly can be. Try to get lots of rest over the weekend when it finally arrives for everybody. And as I always say at the end of these videos, if there is anything that we can cover content-wise, please just reach out to us and let us know, because we are more than happy to cover requested content or any questions or concerns. Enjoy the rest of your week, and I'll speak to you all very soon.